It all began in a quiet town on Earth, a place where life moved slowly and people knew each other by name. The streets were calm, the air smelled of fresh earth and flowers, and the rhythm of life was gentle. In this small town lived a man named Armin, an ordinary person in every way. He had no wealth, no fame, and no special powers. He worked at a local library, loved reading old stories, and enjoyed helping people with small tasks. Most days were peaceful and predictable. Armin liked it that way. He found comfort in simplicity, in the small joys of life, like seeing children play in the park or listening to the soft sound of rain on the roof. One evening, as Armin was closing the library, the sky changed color. It was as if the world itself was holding its breath. A shimmering light appeared, brighter than the sun, and it hovered above the town. People ran into the streets, staring with shock and fear. At first, everyone thought it was a strange weather event or some kind of natural phenomenon. But soon they realized it was far more extraordinary. From the light, a massive ship descended. Its surface gleamed like liquid silver, and its shape was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. It seemed alive, pulsating softly with energy. The town fell silent, and an uneasy feeling spread through everyone's hearts. The ship landed in the Central Park, and a door opened with a sound like wind through crystal. From it emerged a figure that made everyone gasp. She was tall, regal, and unlike any creature seen on Earth. Her skin shimmered like the night sky, and her eyes glowed with a mysterious light. This was the Alien Queen, a being known across galaxies for her wisdom, power, and the famous marriage challenge she offered to find a worthy partner. She moved with grace, yet there was an undeniable strength in her presence. People felt small, insignificant, and amazed all at once. Whispers spread quickly. This was not just an alien visitor. This was someone extraordinary, someone who could change the fate of the world. The Alien Queen's voice was calm, but filled with authority. She spoke a language that sounded strange at first, but soon, thanks to a translation device she carried, everyone could understand her words. She announced that she had come to Earth to offer her challenge. "I seek one among you," she said, "worthy to join me as a partner. The journey will test courage, wisdom, and heart. Only the worthy will succeed. Those who fail will learn the limits of their strength." Her words made a hush fall over the town. Many adults exchanged nervous glances. Children stared in awe. The challenge sounded impossible. People had heard stories about the Alien Queen's trials, tales passed down in secret by those who had glimpsed interstellar travelers. The stories were full of wonder, but they always ended with failure. No human had ever succeeded before. Despite the fear and uncertainty, Armin felt a spark inside him. Unlike the others, he did not see the challenge as impossible. To him, it felt like a call he could not ignore. He thought about his quiet life, the simplicity he loved, and the opportunity to do something extraordinary. The library books had taught him about heroes, explorers, and the power of determination. He realized that this might be his chance to step beyond ordinary life, to show that even someone small and simple could achieve great things. With a steady breath, he stepped forward through the crowd. Everyone turned to see him. Some whispered, some laughed nervously, and a few shook their heads in disbelief. "Who does he think he is?" they murmured. "No human can succeed. It's dangerous. He could fail badly." Armin did not respond. His heart raced, but he felt a strange calmness, as if the universe itself was encouraging him. He approached the Queen and bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. "I will take your challenge," he said in a firm, clear voice. The crowd gasped again. Many expected the Queen to reject him outright, to laugh or dismiss his courage. But she only studied him carefully. Her eyes, glowing softly, seemed to measure something invisible, something deep within his soul. For a long moment, no one spoke. The air felt heavy, charged with tension. Then, slowly, she nodded. "Very well," she said. "You will face the trials. But know this, few who begin have the strength to finish. Your courage is commendable, human, but it will be tested in ways beyond your imagination." News of Armin's decision spread through the town like wildfire. Friends and neighbors rushed to see him, some trying to persuade him to step back, others offering quiet words of encouragement. The children cheered him on, imagining him as a hero from the stories they loved. Even strangers in the crowd felt a stirring of hope, a sense that perhaps something incredible was about to happen. Armin, however, focused only on the path ahead. He knew the challenges would not be easy. He had no idea what awaited him, but he trusted his mind, his heart, and his ability to adapt. He had faced difficulties before in small ways, helping others, solving problems in the library, handling emergencies in the town. Those experiences seemed tiny compared to the trials he would face, but he understood that every journey began with a single step. The first trial, the Queen explained, would not start immediately. Instead, it was preparation that mattered most. Armin was instructed to learn, observe, and understand, not just the physical challenges, but the mental and emotional ones as well. He began studying alien patterns, listening to the Queen's words, and practicing puzzles and exercises she suggested. The townspeople watched him closely. Some were skeptical, some were inspired, and others were silently proud. They had never seen a human step forward with such determination in the face of the unknown. Armin's preparation became a story of quiet dedication. He trained his mind, body, and heart, knowing that courage alone would not be enough. Wisdom, kindness, and cleverness would also be tested. As the sun set over the quiet town, Armin sat under an old tree, thinking about what lay ahead. The stars seemed brighter than usual, as if the universe itself was observing him. He remembered the stories of heroes who had changed the world by believing in themselves. Perhaps, he thought, this was his moment, not to conquer the impossible, but to show that a simple human, with determination and heart, could stand before the universe and face a challenge no one thought possible. The night grew deep, the town asleep, but Armin stayed awake, planning, imagining, and dreaming of the journey ahead. The alien queen's challenge had begun, and though the path was uncertain, one thing was clear. The story of a human willing to face the unknown was about to unfold. After stepping forward to accept the alien queen's challenge, Armin realized that the real journey was only beginning. The first days were not filled with grand battles or spectacular events, but with preparation, study, and learning. The Queen had made it clear that the challenge would test not just strength or courage, but the mind, the heart, and the ability to understand things beyond ordinary human experience. Armin knew he had to prepare in every way possible. He began to think about what it meant to face beings from another world. He needed to understand their ways, their thinking, and their rules. Armin spent hours observing the alien visitors who came with the Queen. They were elegant, intelligent, and unlike anything he had ever imagined. Their movements were precise, their eyes sharp, and their actions deliberate. He noticed patterns in how they spoke and moved, small habits that seemed meaningless at first, but hinted at deeper knowledge. Armin recorded these observations in a notebook, writing everything he could remember. Each detail felt important. He understood that the Queen's challenge was not just about performing feats, but about understanding what lay beneath them. The town became a place of quiet curiosity. People who had once laughed or doubted him now watched with cautious respect. Some brought books, stories, and ideas to help him prepare. Others, unsure of how to assist, simply offered words of encouragement. Children often joined him, asking questions and offering their own observations. Arman appreciated the support, realizing that even in extraordinary challenges, small human connections mattered. He practiced thinking creatively, solving problems, and imagining solutions that others might overlook. He knew that alien logic would be different from human logic, and that understanding this difference could be the key to success. The Queen, meanwhile, kept a distant watch. At first, she seemed indifferent, almost bored by the human's efforts. She had seen countless beings attempt her challenges before, and most had failed quickly. But Arman's persistence was different. He did not rely on brute strength or luck. He studied, reflected, and applied what he learned in clever ways. Slowly, the Queen began to notice. Her eyes, usually calm and unreadable, would follow him more often. She would nod slightly when he solved a problem in a way that surprised even her. It was subtle, but significant. Arman did not seek recognition from the Queen, but her growing attention reminded him that he was on the right path. The first exercises were simple tests of observation. Arman had to identify patterns, solve visual puzzles, and anticipate movements. The other challengers, many of them aliens with advanced abilities, struggled at first because they relied on instinct or speed. Arman's patience and careful thinking gave him an advantage. He learned to stay calm under pressure, to pause before acting, and to consider multiple solutions. These exercises taught him an important lesson. The challenge was as much about strategy as it was about ability. Every small victory strengthened his confidence, but he remained aware that the real tests were yet to come. Alongside the mental exercises, Arman also had to prepare physically. Though he was not particularly strong or athletic, he understood that endurance and coordination would be important. He practiced walking long distances, climbing trees, and balancing on uneven surfaces. He developed techniques to stay steady even when exhausted, and he learned to use his environment wisely. Rocks, branches, streams, every element could become a tool if used cleverly. While the other challengers relied on their natural strength or alien powers, Arman relied on observation, adaptability, and creativity. These qualities slowly became his signature strengths. Emotionally, the challenge tested him in unexpected ways. The Queen designed trials that seemed unfair or impossible at first. Objects would vanish, instructions would change, or choices had consequences that were not immediately clear. At times, Arman felt frustrated, tired, or doubtful. He missed the simplicity of his former life. But he reminded himself of why he had taken the challenge in the first place. He wanted to prove that humans could rise to extraordinary circumstances. He wanted to show that courage, patience, and intelligence could triumph even against beings far more powerful than himself. Each moment of doubt became an opportunity to practice resilience. During this time, Arman also formed connections with some of the aliens who were observing or assisting the challenge. Surprisingly, not all of them were hostile or indifferent. A few quietly shared tips, offering guidance without giving away the solutions. They respected his determination and ingenuity. Through these small interactions, Arman learned another important lesson. Empathy and kindness could be as powerful as strength or intelligence. He treated every being he encountered with respect, listened carefully, and tried to understand perspectives different from his own. Slowly, he built a network of quiet allies who would later support him in ways no one could have anticipated. The town itself became a stage for the challenge. People would gather daily to watch Arman practice or to hear reports from those who observed the aliens. Children drew pictures of him as a hero. Neighbors whispered tales of his courage, and strangers from nearby towns traveled just to see him. The challenge, though meant to test one individual, became a story for the entire community. Arman felt the weight of expectation, but also the warmth of support. Every day he reminded himself that the challenge was not just about winning, it was about showing what humans could achieve when they believed in themselves. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Armand sat quietly under a tree, thinking about the next stage of the trials. The Queen had hinted at tests that would be far more difficult, combining mental, physical, and emotional challenges. He could not know what awaited him, but he could prepare his mind and spirit. He reflected on his journey so far, realizing how much he had grown. Fear had not disappeared, but it had become a tool rather than a limitation. Doubt had not gone away, but it had taught him patience. Each day of preparation strengthened him in ways he could not have imagined when he first stepped forward to accept the challenge. As night fell, stars glittered brightly overhead. The town was quiet, but Armand's thoughts were alive with possibilities. He imagined the trials ahead and considered how he might approach them. Every small step of preparation, every observation, every practice session was part of a larger plan, even if the details were not yet clear. He felt a quiet confidence not in himself alone, but in the power of careful thought, empathy, and creativity. For the first time, he truly understood that winning the challenge was not about being the strongest or the fastest. It was about being wise, adaptable, and true to one's heart. And so the days of preparation passed, each one building toward the moment when the real trials would begin. Armand's courage, patience, and determination became his shield. His mind, sharpened through study and reflection, became his weapon. And in the quiet of his small town, under the watchful eyes of humans and aliens alike, he prepared to face a challenge that no human had ever dared to attempt. Though the path ahead was uncertain and filled with danger, Armand was ready to take the next step, carrying the hopes of his town and perhaps all of humanity with him. The day of the real trials had finally arrived. After weeks of preparation, Armand stood before the alien queen and the gathered crowd, feeling both nervous and determined. The queen's eyes shone with curiosity as she announced the beginning of the first challenge. Unlike the exercises of preparation, these trials were designed to test the limits of mind, body, and heart all at once. Armand understood that this was the moment he had been waiting for, the moment where all his careful study, observation, and practice would be put to the ultimate test. The first trial required mental agility. A complex puzzle appeared before him, floating in the air like a three-dimensional hologram. Its shapes shifted constantly, changing patterns and colors in ways that seemed random. Many of the alien challengers, confident in their intelligence, rushed forward to solve it, relying on instinct and speed, yet time and again they failed. The puzzle reset, and they grew frustrated. Armand took a deep breath and focused. Instead of rushing, he observed the movements carefully, noting subtle repetitions and hidden patterns. Slowly, methodically, he manipulated the puzzle, testing small ideas and adjusting them as he learned more. Unlike the others, he did not panic when it changed unexpectedly. His patience and careful thinking allowed him to solve the puzzle, earning the first signs of astonishment from the queen and the onlookers. The next trial tested physical skill and endurance. A strange terrain appeared, unlike anything on Earth. It was a mixture of shifting platforms, glowing pathways, and invisible walls. Many challengers stumbled, misjudging distances or relying on their natural strength alone. Armand, however, had practiced carefully during the preparation days. He observed each movement, anticipated the shifts, and used his surroundings cleverly. When a platform wobbled, he balanced using small handholds. When a pathway vanished, he found alternative routes. His movements were not the fastest or the strongest, but they were precise and thoughtful. Step by step, he made progress, showing that intelligence combined with careful observation could match and even surpass raw power. As the trials continued, the challenges grew more unusual. One trial required understanding emotions, both human and alien. The Queen presented scenarios where Armin had to decide how to respond to beings in distress or conflict. Some aliens attempted to trick him with false cries for help or confusing instructions. Many failed, responding hastily or with anger. Armin paused, observed carefully, and listened with empathy. He considered the intentions behind actions, the feelings of each being, and the consequences of each choice. His answers were thoughtful and compassionate, demonstrating that true wisdom included understanding others, not just solving problems or performing tasks. The Queen, who had watched many beings fail at this trial before, tilted her head in surprise. One of the most difficult trials combined all three elements: mental, physical, and emotional. Armin was placed in a large arena with moving platforms, floating puzzles, and beings in need of help. He had to navigate the space, solve challenges in real time, and make choices that affected others' safety. Many challengers panicked, overwhelmed by the simultaneous demands. Armin's training in patience, observation, and empathy allowed him to stay calm. He prioritized his actions, helping those in danger while progressing through the puzzle. He learned to adapt quickly, using creative thinking to overcome obstacles that seemed impossible. Every small decision mattered, and he realized that success depended not on speed alone, but on balance and careful thought. During these trials, Armin began to notice something remarkable. The alien Queen, who had been distant and composed, was now watching him closely. Her expression was one of intrigue, even surprise. For the first time, she seemed unsure of what would happen next. This subtle reaction encouraged Armin to continue, not for pride, but to prove that humans could rise to extraordinary challenges through intelligence, empathy, and determination. He also noticed the reactions of the other aliens. Some were frustrated, some impressed, but all were paying attention. It became clear that his performance was exceptional, something they had not expected from a human. Armin faced moments of doubt and fear. Some challenges seemed impossible, puzzles shifted in ways he could not predict, and obstacles appeared suddenly. At times he stumbled or made mistakes, but he remembered the lessons from preparation, patience, reflection, and resilience. Each mistake became an opportunity to learn. He adapted his strategies, observed carefully, and continued. Slowly, the impossible started to feel achievable. Every small success built confidence, and every failure taught him a lesson. The trials were not just testing his skills, they were shaping him into someone capable of handling the most complex challenges. One trial was especially surprising. The Queen asked him to solve a riddle that had defeated countless challengers before. The riddle was not just a question, but a situation requiring both logic and empathy. Armin considered it carefully, thinking about the purpose behind the riddle and the perspective of the Queen. Instead of rushing for an answer, he approached it thoughtfully, imagining the scenario from multiple angles. Slowly, he found a solution that satisfied both the logical and emotional aspects of the challenge. The Queen's eyes widened slightly, a subtle but powerful sign of respect and amazement. The audience gasped, realizing that a human had accomplished what no one else had. As the trials progressed, Armin realized that his greatest advantage was not just intelligence or preparation, but his ability to stay true to himself. He did not try to mimic the aliens or act in ways unnatural to him. Instead, he combined human creativity, empathy, and determination with the lessons he had learned from observation and study. This unique approach allowed him to solve problems in ways that the Queen and other observers had never seen before. It became clear that the challenge was not about being like everyone else. It was about using one's own strengths wisely. By the end of the day, Armin had completed multiple trials that had tested him in every possible way. The crowd watched, in awe as he stood tall, exhausted but unbroken. Even the other challengers, who had begun with confidence, were amazed by his ingenuity, calmness and courage. The queen stepped forward, her eyes focused on him. There was a moment of silence, broken only by the gentle hum of the alien ship. Everyone waited, unsure of what would happen next. It was clear that Armin had achieved something remarkable. He had proven that determination, careful thought, and empathy could overcome challenges that seemed impossible. As night fell, the crowd dispersed, leaving Armin alone with his thoughts. He reflected on the day's events and the lessons he had learned. Every challenge had taught him something new, every obstacle had strengthened his resolve, and every small victory had built his confidence. He knew that the final trials were still ahead, but he felt prepared in a way that went beyond skill or knowledge. He had discovered the power of patience, creativity, and compassion, qualities that would guide him through whatever came next. For the first time, Armin truly understood the meaning of the Queen's challenge. It was not just about winning, it was about growing, learning, and demonstrating the best of what a human could offer. He felt a quiet excitement mixed with determination. The path ahead would not be easy, but he was ready to face it. The trials had begun, and Armin had already shown that a human could rise to meet challenges no one thought possible. The final trial was announced at dawn. The air was filled with tension, excitement, and anticipation. The crowd, consisting of humans and aliens alike, gathered to witness what was expected to be the most impossible test of all. The Queen stood tall, radiating authority, her eyes glowing with a mixture of curiosity and challenge. Armin, though tired from the previous trials, felt a deep sense of readiness. He had trained his mind, strengthened his body, and prepared his heart. Everything he had learned over the weeks was about to be tested in ways he could not yet imagine. The trial began with a vast, shifting arena. It was unlike any of the previous challenges. The ground moved in waves, obstacles rose and fell unpredictably, and strange glowing creatures appeared intermittently, each presenting a puzzle or a moral choice. The Queen explained that this trial combined every aspect of the earlier tests: intellect, endurance, empathy, and courage. Many challengers hesitated at the entrance, fearing the unknown. Armin, however, stepped forward with calm determination. He reminded himself that hesitation would waste time. Clarity and focus were his greatest allies. The first part of the trial required navigating the shifting terrain. Armin's careful observation and preparation paid off. He noticed patterns in the movements of platforms and timing in the rise and fall of obstacles. While others stumbled and fell, Armin moved with precision, using every step strategically. His earlier physical training allowed him to maintain balance and strength even when the ground seemed unstable. Each step was a small victory, reinforcing his confidence and determination. As he progressed, challenges became more complex. Glowing creatures appeared, each representing a moral or emotional puzzle. One creature presented a situation in which a fellow challenger appeared to be in danger, but the path to help was fraught with personal risk. Many aliens hesitated or tried to bypass the decision, failing the test. Armin paused, considered the consequences, and acted with both courage and empathy. He found a creative solution that saved the creature without compromising his progress. This action impressed not only the Queen but also the audience. They began to see that his strength was not just physical or mental, but moral as well. The next segment of the trial combined intellectual and strategic skill. A complex puzzle formed in midair, rotating and changing shapes constantly. Many challengers tried to solve it using speed or brute force, failing repeatedly. Armin approached it differently. He observed, analyzed, and tested multiple approaches, remaining calm despite the shifting patterns. Slowly, methodically, he solved the puzzle, earning astonished looks from the alien audience. It was clear that no one else had approached the challenge with the same combination of patience, intelligence, and creativity. Midway through the trial, a particularly difficult moral choice appeared. The Queen had designed a scenario where Armin had to make a decision that tested his values, courage, and insight. A group of alien observers appeared trapped in a rapidly closing space, while the path forward contained a solution that would benefit only him. Many would have chosen personal gain. Armin hesitated, considering the consequences. He realized that true success required thinking beyond himself. Carefully and creatively, he found a way to save the observers while still progressing in the trial. The Queen's eyes widened in genuine surprise. She had rarely seen such balance of intellect, bravery, and moral judgment in any challenger. The final stage of the trial combined all previous lessons. Armin faced a scenario where he had to navigate dangerous terrain, solve puzzles in real time, and make ethical choices simultaneously. Each step required focus, quick thinking, and careful judgment. At one point, an obstacle nearly forced him into a mistake, but he stayed calm and adapted. He used observation, logic, and creativity to overcome it. When creatures appeared needing help, he assisted them while keeping his own path clear. Each decision, each action, seemed to flow naturally from his preparation, experience, and inner strength. As the trial neared completion, the audience held its breath. Even the aliens who had begun with doubt watched in awe. Armin's perseverance, intelligence, and empathy had carried him through obstacles that had defeated countless others. Finally, after a series of carefully executed steps and courageous actions, Armin reached the central platform. A bright light enveloped him, signaling the completion of the final trial. For the first time, the Queen's expression softened, showing admiration and astonishment. The audience erupted in quiet murmurs of amazement. A human had achieved what no one had expected, mastery of every aspect of the alien Queen's challenge. The Queen approached him slowly, her glowing eyes locked on his. There was a long silence, broken only by the hum of the alien ship. Then she spoke, her voice calm but filled with respect. "You have done what no human or alien has done before. You have shown courage, intelligence, and compassion beyond expectation. You have succeeded where all others have failed." The words echoed in the arena. Armin's heart raced, but he remained composed. He had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. It was a moment of triumph not just for him, but for all who had believed in him. The crowd watched in awe as the Queen gestured for him to step forward. Her respect and astonishment were clear, and the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Armin realized that his journey had not only tested his abilities, but had also reshaped the way the Queen and others viewed humans. It was a moment of transformation where courage, creativity, and empathy had proven more powerful than strength alone. He stood tall, ready to meet whatever came next, knowing that the true reward was the understanding and respect he had earned. The moment after Armin's victory was filled with quiet tension. The Queen, whose demeanor had always been composed and commanding, now moved closer, her expression a mix of surprise, admiration, and curiosity. She had watched countless challengers attempt her tests, and most had failed quickly, unable to handle the complexity and difficulty of her trials. Armin had succeeded where everyone else had fallen short, and his achievement challenged her expectations in ways that no one could have predicted. The crowd waited, holding their breath, watching the interaction between the human and the Queen. Aliens and humans alike whispered among themselves, unable to hide their astonishment. The Queen finally spoke, her voice calm but carrying the weight of her amazement. "You have achieved what was once thought impossible. Your mind is sharp, your courage unwavering, and your heart shows wisdom and compassion beyond your years. Tell me, human, what has guided you through these trials?" Armin, humble yet confident, replied that his preparation, observation, and commitment to helping others had guided him. He emphasized that courage alone was never enough. It must be paired with thoughtfulness, empathy, and perseverance. The Queen's reaction was remarkable. She had expected humility, perhaps even fear, but she did not expect insight. Her eyes softened, and a subtle smile appeared. A reaction no one had seen from her before. The crowd gasped at this unexpected display. The Queen had always been a figure of authority and power, distant and almost untouchable. To see her reaction, a mix of surprise and respect, was astonishing. She acknowledged Armin's achievement in a way that transcended words. "You have shown that even a human considered weak by some can rise to challenges no one believed they could face," she said. "Your victory will be remembered across worlds." As news of his triumph spread, people around the arena and the town erupted in cheers. Humans who had doubted him now celebrated his courage, and even the aliens expressed admiration. The victory was more than personal. It symbolized the potential of humans to rise above limitations, to think creatively, and to act with empathy. Armin's success inspired everyone who witnessed it, reminding them that determination and heart can overcome even the most difficult obstacles. After the initial celebration, the Queen invited Armin to discuss the results and their significance. She spoke of the interstellar implications, the lessons his journey had taught her, and the new perspective she now held about humans. Armin realized that his victory was not just about passing a test, it was about bridging worlds. His actions had proven that humans could contribute meaningfully to challenges that spanned beyond Earth, and that their unique qualities, creativity, empathy, and perseverance, were powerful even among advanced civilizations. The Queen's astonishment became a lesson for all. She praised the human community for nurturing qualities like courage, intelligence, and kindness. She explained that these qualities, when combined with patience and preparation, could achieve what many considered impossible. Armin's journey was a living example of this truth, demonstrating that anyone, no matter how ordinary they seemed, could accomplish extraordinary feats with the right mindset and heart. Armin's life changed after that day. He gained recognition, not just on Earth, but across worlds. He became a symbol of hope, courage, and wisdom. People sought his advice, admired his journey, and looked to his example for inspiration. He never forgot the lessons of humility, preparation, and empathy that had guided him through the trials. Even with newfound recognition, he remained grounded, remembering the small town where he had started and the quiet determination that had led him forward. In the end, the Queen's reaction and Armin's victory reshaped the future. Earth and Aoi. Alien civilizations began to explore new relationships, guided by respect, understanding, and shared experiences. The challenge had been more than a test of skill. It had been a moment of connection, learning, and transformation. Armin's courage and wisdom reminded everyone that greatness can emerge from unexpected places, and that the heart and mind together are the true measure of achievement. His story became legendary, not just as a tale of victory, but as an enduring lesson that determination, empathy, and intelligence can overcome even the most impossible challenges.